with the whole excavation system and everything, with caves and tunnels and all that, how do you plan to deal with, say, if you're in a cave or a tunnel and you like switch to another server, are you going to wind up drowning in dirt or spawn to the surface or something like that?
As we mentioned yesterday, it's the cave, like the underground base building system, is something that we're not going to look at until much later in the year, you know, possibly around December. So, you know, as to how we implement it, do we have the bases tied to one server, or do we have them for each server? It's something that we're going to have to look at when we actually look at the implementation of them, and that's going to be decided by a vast amount by the programmers and what's possible. Dean, do you want to elaborate?
Totally missed that question, bro. I'm trying to set it up with the zombies, so while you guys are taking the question, I'm actually going to show some of the newer zombie animation stuff there, because we all come here to see that. So you're just going to have to make this work, bro.
Okay. So yeah, it's something that we're going to have to look at later in the year when we directly look at the implementation of how we want to do it, as to whether they be tied to one server or not.
Thank you.
Hi, I got a pretty simple question. Are you guys going to be allowing like custom apps like caveat and other things to the standalone?
Initially, no, because we want to we want to try and do every step we can to stop hacking, and a side effect of that is severely limiting modding, which is slightly hypocritical. You know, we came from a mod and then we're limiting modding, but it's something that we've got to do to stop the hacking, which really ruined DayZ. Ideally, what we'd like to see is, you know, some method of being able to implement mods and such in the long term, so, you know, we can have user-created content, but how we do that is something that, again, we're going to have to look at much farther down the line after the initial release.
Alright, thank you. Hi, I've got just kind of two questions. I know you said previously in dev blogs that you're going to be working on increasing the number of zombies in the world since they're going to be generated server side. Are you ever planning on doing something like a city filled with just thousands of them, something like 28 Days Later, where you literally cannot do it alone, you have to have a team with you, so it's you versus the zombies instead of other survivors?
I mean, the main issue with that, though, is it's all a big juggling act. The more zombies we have in, the more resource intensive it is. So, you know, there is a limit as to how many zombies we can have. Some of the efficiencies we've gained through going to this new client server architecture means that more zombies may be possible and that we can do cool things, but do we use those for vastly increasing the number of zombies, or do we do something else that might be more beneficial to user experience?
Okay. The other part of it was, I know a lot of people mainly just use zombies as a nuisance because you can just hide in the bush and get around them. I know when I go up to the Northwest Airfield, I just use them to see if there's anybody around. If they're going to be generated by the server and not by player presence anymore, is there going to be something to sort of, I hesitate to say compensate players, but something else to let us know someone might be around?
Not that we've planned yet. Initially, it's going to be based off your own, you know, what you see, what you hear in game. Has someone heard? If you heard a gunshot, you hear a car. As for the zombies are also going to be much less of a nuisance, much more of a threat with the direct pathfinding. It's quite hard to get away from them now in our current builds that Dean is furiously working on to show you now. So they are much more of a threat. I mean, I always used to in the mod just run around buildings and try and outrun them and lose them through ducking and weaving. But now they keep up with you so quickly, that just isn't. I've not been able to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. AV guy, could you switch that thingy on the thing? Okay, so this is an example of the new zombie with some of the new loitering animations. You guys can hear me without this mic, right?
That's not just in your head.
So you can see he's trying to follow me here, and you can see how there's not the same stretching in the arms and stuff like that as he's walking around, and this is part of the new skeleton that we have that we're doing the animations on, so I'm going to run away here. I'm also going to turn on pathing so that we can all see how the zombie is trying to get to me, so I'm going to run away. You can see how he's choosing his path, how he's going to get here and stuff like that. So there's 3 states that the zombie is in. There's loitering, which is what he's doing at the moment, and there's a bunch of different loitering animations. So, as well as the alerted state, which is where he runs along, and and then frenzy. So you can see how he's choosing his path as he's running along, and definitely, and you see now he's in like, okay, he's over there, and if he can, he'll do like a straight beeline to me, and this is a dramatic change, and I'm just gonna pause it, and just because there's some complexity with how the animation switches, because we want to stop the engine from doing stuff at the moment, so I'm going to get the guy chasing me to be a real person now, so you can see how how he's going to weave and follow me and stuff like that. And then, no doubt, I'm going to be running around and then he's going to break, and it's all going to be very bad. So he's stuck in his technical pace here, which is a little bit annoying because it'll be a little bit slower. But you can see that he's following me way more effectively than he did in the mods, so, which is a big deal. You can also see in these buildings, this I was talking about yesterday, the pathing mods, which cause us a real problem, and it's something that we want to change going forward. This is the hardest building, so we'll see if this guy is now, where is he? Yep, so he's following me up here. So this is a real problem. You also remember previously in the mod that they wouldn't, now I'm trapped here, that was really fun. They wouldn't run indoors, so we spent a lot of time and a lot of effort dealing with that, so making it so that they can run in much more of a thread. So we'll wait for him to get down the stairs. He's stuck in crouch mode at the moment, which is really irritating because he's not anywhere near as fast. So this has been one of those kind of really key things for us to deal with, and getting the pathing to be much better. I'll go in tactical crouch too, so you can see how he's able to keep up with me. And that's really the issue, because the AI would stop to do things, the AI would stop to turn around, the AI would stop to attack you, and we really need to prevent that. So I just wanted to show that. Sorry, what was the next question?
Yeah, sorry. One of the coolest things that I liked from the mod was the Reddit Rescue Force. I like that kind of, obviously most people are horrible at DayZ and kill you on sight and you most nice people. Have you ever used Reddit Rescue Force, and have you anything to maybe encourage that kind of behaviour over the shooting sight stuff? I know the practical thing, but I like that side.
Yeah, I haven't used them myself, but I think that's a really amazing example of something that's in the game. So I think having these kind of opportunities for that kind of gaming to occur is really important. But it comes back to our prime directive. We don't want to kind of force any particular behaviour. I think if we went out and said, right, we're going to punish banditry and we're going to nerf this and nerf that, it's a real slippery slope. And I don't think we're the best people to decide what those factors might be. So we just want to set up a whole bunch of tools and have those tools function correctly. And I think if they function correctly, then people will respond and they'll adapt. And I think the Reddit Rescue Force is an example of an attempt at that adaptation. And yeah, so I guess that there are some times when we've kind of got involved with player behaviour, but it's what we really want to do is just build the tools. I mean, does it? I kind of wonder whether I've really answered your question properly there.
Well, it's you're trying to guess about skills and stuff that people are going to get better at.
Yeah,
so that's
the
the right
point.
If everyone just goes, it's awesome that they do this, but
yeah, can we bring that mic forward a bit? It's just I can't really see. I don't know whether is that all right, Mr. AV guy? He's saying it's okay, so it's much better. We kind of wanted this to be a bit more of a discussion rather than
they're awesome, but there's no real benefit to what they do. Well, banditry, it works because you get all this free stuff off of that.
Yeah, I think that the potential for loss transfers a sense of value. And I think if there is a too long don't breed for DayZ, it's DayZ's design, it's that. Because DayZ gives a real feeling of loss to your character, you value it. There's no real reason why you value it. It doesn't make any sense, but I think emotion trumps reason, and I think that's why that makes sense. So we sort of appreciate that the risk of you being shot is what makes DayZ DayZ. But we, like you were saying, particularly with that doctor and mechanic thing, it gives these opportunities for a social, positive interaction. And we want to explore that, but I don't think it's going to work first time round. Someone had messaged me on Steam or somewhere after the panel yesterday saying, what's happened to the humanities system? And, you know, I've always said I think the humanities system was a bit broken, at the very least. It's probably being nice. So I think that, again, it comes back to another question that was there before, that we need to do this alpha first, and then go back to the community. Yeah, and because everything needs complete rebalancing. And
get people walking in a straight line first.
Yeah.
Get shape mechanics and then start learning that stuff.
And I really hope that going forward that we stick to our guns and we really take that focus of we're not going to get involved in player interactions. It's our prime directive. You know, we're going to stick to building the world and building the tools as best we can.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yesterday you were talking a bit about the attachment system and crafting, and I was just wondering, will you be able to craft melee weapons? Maybe get a broom and a kitchen knife, tape them together, make a spear, or...
I'm glad you asked that. He's not a plant. Okay, so I've got these. Can we do the thing? Yeah. So I really like this mind map tool. It's really cool. So this is. Can everyone read that? This is kind of our what we're kind of thinking at with some of our. Why does that have a little thing on it? Oh, it's because I was doing that. A link. Yeah. So this is kind of what we're thinking of some of the attachment systems. So, what was the attachment you were looking at?
I was thinking maybe getting a knife, putting it on a broom or something like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's something that our programmer Yotka is looking at for crafting. And we've got a lot of ideas and potential for crafting. This is the kind of stuff we're thinking about for attachments. So, in terms of attachments, the first things that are going to be dealt with for attachments is things like the head torch, which we have in game. In terms of batteries and things like that will be an attachment. But this, what I've put up here is what we're looking at doing for weapons like the M4 and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think broom isn't on our list, but we do want to have improvised weapons. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello again.
Hello.
I have one quick question on both mod and standalone. On mod, why, when the zombie apocalypse occurred, did everyone throw their washing machine out into the street?
There's some really good, I think that, yeah, there's some really good cartoons. I think it was it on YouTube or something I saw, or someone did a really clever cartoon about that. Or maybe someone had drawn one and posted on the forums. I guess when I was making it, you know, I really wanted to give journalists a sense of being derelict, you know, run down. I'm a big fan of the road. I keep mentioning it. I mentioned it yesterday. And DayZ really doesn't have a lot, hasn't really had a lot of time for its lore and stuff like that. And I know people probably want it, but I kind of like the fact that it doesn't have any, because it really then, it focuses the players on their experience. So there's no story, so you're not, you know, trying to figure out what the manufactured story is. The only stories you're looking at are the stories that happens with the players. So the simple answer to why did everyone throw out their washing machine is that was the only rubble model they had. So,
the question I have on standalone, and you just had the video of the player following you, is there any plan to have NPCs, non-zombies, just random other survivors running around and just grabbing stuff that happens to be AI, not a player?
Yeah, I'm not big on AI companions, probably because I haven't had a very good experience with them.
Not necessarily companions, just you're running through Cherno and you see movement in a building and it's an AI that grabs a can of beans and runs away.
Yeah, so actually it's a good point. So early on in the mod, what I'd actually intended was, because it was originally only going to be about 50 people playing it, and look here we are. So, whoops. And one thing we looked at doing, I wanted to do for the end game was have it so that once you got yourself set up, you could get a vehicle or something and go rescue NPCs. But that's way too gamey, I think, for what we're thinking about. Our CEO, Marek, he's really into NPCs and that, so we're actually building DayZ with the ability for that to be put in. I'm just not that hot on it, so I don't have any necessarily massive aversion to it, but it's just not something that I'm really interested in. So I think it might be something that comes later, but it's definitely not going to be something that I put in.
Very good. Thank you.
Hey. I was wondering what you thought about the other maps in DayZ. Like, I used to play Lingor a lot, and it's really easy to get like a much more powerful gun and then get killed, and it kind of happens a lot faster. And I was wondering if you thought that took away from like the gravity of like Chernarus and kind of the weight and the power you feel towards your player. I was wondering what you thought about that.
Well, I think the community maps are awesome, and I think we talked about it yesterday about how we don't know what to do with DLC, because if you have a paid DLC for a map, it splinters your community, because not everybody really wants to go out and buy the map, and not as many people are playing it. So how do we extend beyond, you know, where DayZ is at? Because obviously it costs a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time for someone to make a map for DayZ compared to, say, another game that's much, much smaller. Like, the maps are really huge. But, you know, I really like the whole, the Linger and stuff like that, and I think the experimentation that the mod has taken in terms of trying, like, putting hundreds of vehicles and lots of weapons and that, I think that's good, because we've figured out these are things that we value and are interested in, and these are things we aren't. And then you have these other awesome mods like Wasteland for Arma 2 and Arma 3 that have come along, that have maybe taken some of those experiences and made, you know, a sort of refined experience out of them. So I don't think we're going to see that direction with the standalone. You know, standalone's going back to its roots there, but I'm glad that the community maps and the mod has explored those avenues.
Cool. I just quickly.
Sure.
What's going on with dogs?
Dogs, yeah. Now, dogs are like they're kind of development hell. So I was developing them for ages with the mod, and we put a lot of work into them. And then I was like, okay, the standalone is never coming out if I work on the mod. So I stopped virtually all work on the mod. I'm really involved in it very little. I tend to get very angry at anybody who asks me a question about the mod, and so including me. And I just about lost my train of thought there. So then we handed over the code to the modders, and they were like, we're going to have this done in like a day or two, and I actually thought they were right, but they still don't have it done either. So I feel a little bit vindicated, you know. So we put it out to the community, and they still don't have it done. It's on the cards. It's definitely planned. We want to do it, and we've done quite a bit of work, but I think there's still a wee way to go, and I don't know whether they're going to make it in with their alpha, but yeah, we want to get them in there eventually.
Thanks.
One of my biggest passions when I was playing the mod was I was always an avid boater. Like, I enjoyed going up to islands and like setting up a base. But one thing that I always wanted to do was like kind of use a boat as like inland travel. And while looking at like the map in like Arma 2, you always notice like it seems like there could be natural riverways on like the Arma 2 landscape in Chernarus, but they're always kind of like blocked off, and they're either just like they seem like they're either dry riverbeds or just like small ponds. Are there ever like any plans to like actually put like inland rivers in, or is it just kind of an issue due to like Arma 2's tide system?
We've talked about it, definitely talked about it. So, I mean, if I go back, I remember the first time I played Skyrim. And, let's just have a moment now. And then, yeah, I was actually working at the time. I said I wasn't coming into work the next day. I was with the army at the time. And, you know, I remember standing in the river in Skyrim, and I was like, this is amazing. Oh my God, like, it's just cool. But then I was like, why aren't I getting cold? Why aren't I wet? Why isn't my character concerned? I can stand here for ages and then quickly run up to the top of a snowy mountain, and I'm like, hey, look at me. And so we'd love to have rivers in, but I know that the Bethesda guys, like, that was, you know, quite a coup for them to actually deliver that level of fidelity and detail with the river. In order to get water functioning in Arma, it has to be flat, so it's sort of a plane. And below that is water, and above that's not. The ponds are actually kind of a hack. They're actually an object that kind of functions as water. So that doesn't really allow us to do rivers. If you want to do rivers, you have to flatten the terrain and stuff like that, and it becomes quite an issue. But it's something that we're interested in doing. I think it's also something the VBS guys have been interested in doing. And I guess that's what's cool about Bohemia is there's this cross-pollination between Take on Helicopters, Arma 3, Arma 2, DayZ, and VBS, and they all share this parent architecture and stuff can be pulled in and out. So I'd love to see that in. There's just so much work. Yeah.
To be fair though, it isn't just technical limitations as to why we haven't done them. I mean, the Czech Republic's landlocked. They don't really have a sea. What you see on the sea, Chinaris, is a river. So Chinaris is really bordered by a river, and there's not very many large
Tributaries.
There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming
Yeah, and but I think rivers would be really cool. Like we want to do fishing and stuff like that. Like it just makes sense, right? It's the same with hunting. You know, you go hunting, you go fishing. There's no food. You don't want to eat beans all the time. And yeah, so we're hopeful. Maybe we could we should have gone to the Bethesda party and kidnapped some of their programs. That would work.
We've been talking about kidnapping so many people over the last couple of days.
No, I'm not going to go leave the country. So maybe that's a good thing. Thanks. Cool, I guess we're probably done with questions. So thanks.